Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever made a tiny, almost insignificant mistake in an RPG and watched it snowball into an absolute disaster? Well, today we're diving into the hilarious, chaotic, and wonderfully cinematic story of an overpowered minion and his deeply terrified, completely underpowered master. So here's the setup. Our main guy, Will, was a top-tier veteran in a VR labyrinth game for 10 whole years. When a massive new version drops, he gets to transfer his account along with a staggering 195,000 ability points. Naturally, thinking he's an absolute gaming genius, he dumps every single point into creating one incredibly overpowered minion to just farm items for him. The catch? He leaves his own personal combat stats at a beautiful, pathetic 0. Just think about this contrast for a second. On one side, you've got Will. Level 1, 0 combat stats, entirely squishy. A stiff breeze could knock him over. On the other side, his creation, Cesar. This guy is functionally level 97, fueled by those 195,000 points, towering over everyone with a ridiculously giant sword and basically vibrating with pure, murderous, psychopathic energy. Will literally built the final boss of the game just to be a sidekick. Now here is where things get really spicy. The loyalty drop mechanic. A sudden system prompt warns Will that if his minion thinks he's weak or pathetic, his loyalty drops. And for Cesar, a drop in loyalty doesn't mean he just unparties and walks away. No, he will absolutely murder Will on the spot. Will suddenly realizes he's totally trapped. He has to fake being a ruthless, terrifying mastermind, or his own 15-year-old creation is going to end his run permanently. So how exactly does he survive this? Well, he trips right in front of Cesar, completely panics, and accidentally curses at him. But Cesar is so unhinged that he interprets this disrespect as Will having insanely high standards. It's pure comedy. Will's terrified inner thoughts like, oh man, please don't murder anyone else today, somehow translate outwardly into this cold-blooded boss dialogue like, you handled that like trash, he has no use to me. And the craziest part is, Cesar eats it up completely. Section 1, The Bluff. Faking it to survive. Will's first day is a total, beautiful disaster. He manages to capture a pickpocket just by frantically ordering Cesar to grab him, which somehow unlocks a rare charisma stat. Then, while trying to find basic starter quests, they accidentally stumble right into the city's criminal guild. A receptionist makes the mistake of mocking Will, and before Will can even process what's happening, Cesar literally crushes the guy for disrespecting the boss. Just like that, in a matter of hours, Will goes from a 0-stat noob to a wanted criminal. And then we get Lena. She's a 16-year-old, highly lethal assassin who literally drops from the ceiling during the guild chaos. Because Will's VR avatar has these mismatched, desynced facial expressions, his sheer internal panic looks to her like terrifying, dead-eyed boredom. Lena gets completely obsessed with this ruthless aura she thinks he has. She joins the party strictly because she thinks Will is some evil genius, and her high agility and stealth perfectly cover up Cesar's, well, his brutal murders. So, how do you officially become a crime lord in this VR world? Well, thanks to Caesar dropping bodies and Lena doing all the shady cover-ups, when Will goes to register his class at the Adventurers Guild, the game doesn't give him warrior or mage, nope. It gives him the ultra-rare boss class. The more his minions intimidate people, the stronger Will's authority and charisma stat becomes. He is literally failing upwards, and it's amazing. Which brings us to Section 2, Escalating Misunderstandings. Talk about a massive butterfly effect. Will drinks a single beer, gets a mild hangover, and offhandedly mentions he's sick. Cesar takes this as a mortal threat to his master's life, goes into full panic mode, bursts into the city, and kidnaps Lovic, who just so happens to be a literal doomsday priest from a corrupted church. This kicks off a massive, explosive citywide battle right in the middle of the street between Cesar and the priest's shadow magic. When the police naturally show up and arrest them for destroying public property, Will drops this absolute gem of a line. I'm a boss with an incurable disease. He just bluffs to the cops, claiming they were innocent victims of a rogue priest trying to cure his terminal illness. And because of his incredibly high charisma and that intimidating boss aura, the police actually believe this ridiculous story. They release them without a single charge. No way, right? After dodging prison, Will decides he needs to play it safe. He tries out a non-violent boss ability called the bargain skill at a local restaurant just to calmly negotiate a free meal. But of course, his terrifying minions misinterpret bargain as ruthless extortion. Cesar instantly starts a massive brawl, which accidentally uncovers that the restaurant was actually a secret front for a local gang all along. All right, on to Section 3, the rise of the Black Mountain Association. You have to remember Will's actual goal here. He just wants to quietly farm low-level labyrinth monsters for some easy passive income. But the reality, the surviving gang members from the restaurant literally bow at his feet, pledging total loyalty. Will randomly throws out the name Black Mountain Association for his new syndicate, and just like that, he inherits a criminal empire, a base of operations, and a massive glowing target on his back from rival gang lords. Because word travels incredibly fast in the underworld, a rival boss named Thomas, who is heavily traumatized and being manipulated by a greedy street kid, launches a full-scale invasion on Will's new restaurant headquarters. He's totally intent on wiping out the Black Mountain Association before it even gets off the ground. This sparks an epic one-on-one battle. Cesar completely clashes with Thomas. We're talking high-speed action, walls exploding everywhere, and some heavy psychological warfare. Cesar ruthlessly mocks Thomas for relying on weak allies, which pushes Thomas into this rare mid-game berserk state. But because Cesar's stats are just completely broken, he absolutely crushes the berserker Thomas. This not only solidifies Cesar's dominance and unlocks a brand new tenacity stat, but it also makes Will's gang feared across the entire city. Next up is Section 4, the Dojo Turf War. Basically, accidental conquest. Seeking what he calls the perfect fight, Caesar decides to wander into Master Gatto's failing martial arts dojo. He finds his students way too weak, so he essentially beats everyone up in a completely one-sided massacre. By the time Will shows up, absolutely terrified of the property damage he's going to have to pay for, Master Gatto is deeply humiliated but completely awestruck by Caesar's power. He literally begs Will to take over the dojo to protect it. So, boom, another business accidentally conquered for the syndicate. But as you can guess, taking over the dojo puts Will right in the crosshairs of our next major threat, Shangak. He is a corrupted, ruthless martial arts master who uses these crazy, explosive pressure point techniques. Shangak arrives specifically to humiliate Master Gato in the middle of the city, brutalizing him in front of massive crowds, just to prove his dark martial arts are superior. Naturally, Cesar and Lena step up to defend their newly acquired turf, and Shangak quickly realizes exactly who he is dealing with. He issues this incredibly chilling quote, "I declare war against all locations of the Black Mountain Association." Shangak triggers a massive official underworld gang war event. The entire city is watching, and even the police step back to just let the bloodbath happen. And that brings us to our final section, a ticking clock cliffhanger. Right as this epic war is declared, Will violently logs out. For the first time, we actually see him in the real world. He's just a completely normal, exhausted guy sitting in his bedroom, totally panicking over the absolute chaos he has accidentally unleashed in the virtual world. And the clock is ticking down to 1. Will has exactly 1 real-world day, which translates to 10 in-game days, to log back in and figure out a survival strategy. If he doesn't, Shangak's forces are going to wipe his organization, his terrifying minions, and his entire in-game life off the map entirely. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Can a zero-stat gamer armed with absolutely nothing but misunderstandings, sheer panic, and a totally game-breaking charisma stat bluff his way out of an unwinnable gang war? You'll just have to dive into the source material to find out. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep leveling those charisma stats.